Hello everyone, we're going clubbing tonight. Well, just me. Another preview video. I like my preview videos. I don't like to give you the aftermath, it's usually disappointing. But I'm in a good mood. It's a good night ahead. So, bit of background. Birthday, postponed from last week. We're having it tonight. It's Saturday, I've had all morning to prepare. It's now nearing 6 p.m. And the birthday basically contains a club. We're going to a club. We are going clubbing. Pretty excited. English clubbing I don't get on with at all. Japanese clubbing I haven't done it yet, and that's where the enthusiasm comes in because yeah, that is pretty expensive apparently. In fact, they were paying 1,000 yen to get in, and that's best part of £10. Definitely about €10 just to get in. That's just entrance money to get through the door. Now I don't know what kind of music they're going to be playing. Yeah, maybe I've been told already, but it's possibly something I'm not particularly familiar with. So that's a bit of a downer. Play some Western music, I might be happier. But I don't know. Club music, generally speaking, whichever country you're in, it's not very pleasant. Because club music is, I mean, the thought behind it is you can dance to it, but or not really. And given the context of some of the lyrics, it's usually rapping or something, or there's usually some gangster context. I'm not a gangster, I'm just a white man making an ass of myself on the floor. I want something a bit more light-hearted, I remember clubbing a couple of years ago. Britney Spears comes on. I'm not going to leave the dance floor, I'm already on there. There's no reason to automatically leave just because it's Britney Spears. It's a song, it's called Womanizer. I felt the least womanizing man in the entire place. Yeah, so it didn't really help. Because a lot of music's sung by girls these days, 80% of it perhaps. I can't sing along with the lyrics. And that's all there is to do, because you can't talk in a club. You can't talk in a club because the music's too loud, and no one's there to talk anyway. Yeah, and that's what I have to rely on. I rely on talking like this. Not very impressive, but sure, it's better than my dance moves. My dancing's appalling. Yeah, I've boasted in the past that I have several dance moves. Yeah, I have more than one, but really it's pretty limited. I like to be a little bit more creative than just standing still, but there doesn't seem to be any middle ground. If you stand too still, then you're just sort of prude and frigid and a bit of an idiot. But if you try and be a bit fun with it, you're just ruling yourself out of pulling. You may be a fun guy at best. At worst, you look a bit of a spouse. You look a bit of an idiot. You are the joker of the show, so you can't win. And there's no use trying to play the sort of serious, sort of silent, mysterious type in the corner and not dance at all. That won't happen. In a club, if you do that, you're just going to be ignored for 4 hours, no matter how ruggedly good looking you are. It's an impossible situation. And I have maintained over many years that the demise of the British pub, the traditional British, it's a cornerstone of civilization, at least in England. Pubs are closing down left, right and centre not because of the smoking ban, but in fact because of women, and it's women's fault because women have discovered that they like to dance. Big time. And they go to clubs. Clubs charge £1 million. Women get in free. Women like clubs. Clubs are excellent for girls. And so, in fact, there are some clubs in London that, unless you have a certain proportion of girls in your party, or at least going with one girl, if you go in as a group of lads, you will not get into the club. So, and that's the entire purpose of the visit to the club. You want to pull. You don't go there with girls, usually. So, tough situation to deal with. So girls like clubs. Boys not wanting to stay in the pub all by themselves, paying £3 miserable, watered down, horrible pint, think, I'll go to the club as well. That's where the girls are at. I'm over 20, I should be doing stuff like that with my life. Not just playing bloody dominoes on a crappy table. So the boys follow the girls to the clubs. The pubs then try and charge more and more and more to the remaining 50-plus-year-olds until they go bust. And no one goes there anymore. The old people die off. The next generation, they like clubbing as well, so yeah, pubs are doomed. Smoking ban? Yeah, sure. People go there still, they just hang around outside. Some effect, but really it's women. And so, clubbing is just very frustrating for me. Manchester is club city, really. Historically, with factory and that's more of an underground type scene, but with a bit of a shady history, but nonetheless, party atmosphere, party scene, yeah, and I'm much more at home. Indoors and usually just having a nice sort of house party. Yeah, that's my kind of thing. I can get some cheap alcohol at the local convenience store. That's usually a third of the price they charge in clubs. I can make measured decisions about how much I'm going to buy, how much I'm going to leave for the next day. I could also do a bit of shopping while I'm there as well. 2 things, 2 trips. And then if I'm hosting the house party, usually I'm in a dorm or something, so I don't care if anything gets broken. I don't own half the stuff. It's pretty crappy anyway. That's where I'm really most at home. I can dictate some of the music, and usually at a university dorm you can usually get a third of your friends pretty easily because you hear music around a university and you go there. Yeah, that's the law. So yeah, house parties are just better. Especially when you're hosting as well. You can go to bed when you like. You haven't got any transportation issues. You can go to a quiet place and talk. If you want to take a girl back, which it wouldn't happen. Really, you can just go upstairs. Everything is there in one place, one-stop shop. Whereas a club is a nightmare for me most times. You've got a horrendous commute there. I usually try and do as much pre-drinking as possible, but that means it's all a rushed, hurried affair, where I'm just sort of panicking, and I'll probably spill some beer on my clothes before I even set off, and it's pressured. Especially if you're sharing a bathroom between sort of 8 people. So that's a consideration. So you've got the commute. Then you've got to get on a horrible bus with other members of the public. It's horrible. And sure, there's a bit of a spirit that goes along with travelling on a bus, for example. But tonight we've got quite a trek, really, over half an hour of a walk, possibly up to an hour. And we're setting up at 6:30. That's how early we've got to set up for this night. 6:30. Such is the distance we're about to travel. Once you've done that, you've got to pay to get in, as we have tonight. That's £1 million. I don't know, and that's another factor as well. When you're pissed and you've had your night out, you've had enough of a night out. Getting back, house party, you don't need to go anywhere. If you're in Manchester, as I was, it's an hour walk at most, and that's fine. It can be done. I knew the area reasonably soon into my time at Manchester University. Here in Japan, I'm going to the next city for a night out because there is nowhere to go in Kobe. There really isn't. So we're going to Osaka tonight. South Osaka, I've done some Wikipediaing, never been there before. Apparently there's a big pachinko scene. Yeah, so great. That's not what we're going there for particularly. But the point is, as far as getting back, it's going to take at least 1 train, possibly 2 or 3. Possibly short trains, but the last train goes at around midnight. I imagine we're staying out all night. We have nowhere to go. I'm not getting a hotel. It's a ridiculous idea. A taxi would bankrupt each and every one of us, even if we split the taxi fare between 30 people and we all somehow got into a 4-seat car. Bankrupt. So that's not an option. We don't know anybody there. Certainly we don't know enough people to host 10 people on the floor. So we're going to be out all night, which means a lot of preparation. That I have been sensible enough to foresee. So I have eaten early, eaten very cheaply. I've just had some bread, and I'm all fired up and ready to go. Actually, but yeah, clubbing it's a bit overrated. If there are girls at the club, I would not be going tonight. So I don't know. I don't know how I will go down in a Japanese club as well. By that I mean, I'm very obviously to the Japanese a Westerner, that's for sure, but I don't know. I don't know what they're really. I don't know. You know, I'm not David Beckham, so that's. And as soon as I remotely move, I've blown my cover as far as being sophisticated in English. I just look like an eccentric idiot. No, that's more my thing. Maybe that'll work. Don't know. Yeah. So as well, if you're going to a club, you've got to bear in mind that sometimes if you get there earlier, it's cheaper. So you've always got to think about that stuff. And I cannot, you know, with all the will in the world, put aside the financial factor. It's a huge financial strain, and the whole thing of pulling is much more complicated than it ever is if you're just in a living room talking about who's better, James Bond or Superman. That's the kind of debate I like to have. But at the club, you just say stuff like, "Whoa, it's hot in here. Music, 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 music. Should we get some more drinks? Yeah, we'll get some more drinks." And because women are independent these days, they buy their own drinks, which is quite good, I'll admit. But there's no chivalry because if I buy a drink, first of all, I'll destroy myself financially. I can't afford 300, 400 yen a drink, which it will be at the minimum. That's £3 or £4 more or less. That would be tremendously bad. And you know, 30 years ago, I imagine I've seen it on television. I've heard stories. Yeah, and buying a drink for a girl that would automatically ensure that you had half an hour of her company. But no, not now probably. So I won't take my chances. I'm not taking that risk. I'll keep my 400 yen. And I'll take my chances with some smooth talking, but the smooth talking ain't gonna happen. Especially the language barrier, being English, limited Japanese ability. I'm gonna have to forgo the language issue. Maybe the club is better in that sense because talking is almost an impossibility. So that's that written off. So I'm in the club. Dancing can't happen. Speaking can't happen. I'm relying on sheer appearance. So I really am. Before we get to the club, there's some kind of restaurant thing. That'll be £1 million. So I'm going to skip that option. I'll go to the restaurant. I'll just sit there quietly and sort of coolly and have a nice time without eating or buying anything. That's what I'll do. Staying out all night. Don't know how to get back, but there's a big crowd of us, so I'm sure we'll improvise or at least have a reasonable time on the streets. Not causing trouble, just sitting there talking. Perhaps even finding somewhere like I don't know. In Japan specifically, there are stories, and to some degree evidence, but I haven't seen it, of places you can go to just sleep for a few hours cheaply. That could be an option. Getting back tomorrow, then I haven't got much homework for Monday, which is quite good. But Sunday's wiped out as well. Clubbing's a tax. It really is. But it's a rarity, and it'll be the first really major night out so far. It's for someone's birthday. I've said I'd go. So I'm going, and should still be a decent night out. As good as clubbing can be. I really don't know quite what to expect. English clubbing, hideous affair. It really is. And no one else seems to agree. It's like, if you're good looking, yeah, clubs are great because you can just go in there and pull. And obviously some clubs have reputations for pulling better than others. But girls get a lot out of clubbing because a lot of clubs are free for girls. Because without girls in the club, then the boys won't go. So if you let the girls in the club for even a discounted amount, then the girls are in, and then the boys will join them. So that's the other way the clubs. It's smart. The clubs will make some money if there are some girls involved. So I can see it. So girls get in the club free, and then occasionally the boys will buy them drinks. But again, I've been over this. It happens less. But let's say they get bought a drink as well. They are doing well so far. Then a girl can pull at will most of the time. If she just says, "Hey, do you want to go out?" Yes, and that's the end of it. So she can get off with whoever she fancies most of the time. Sure, maybe she won't get the best looking guy, but she could pull if she really wants it. She could just take a guy home if that was her desire. And that's it. She could leave after half an hour. And that's it. The night's over. She hasn't got to endure the full 5-hour club experience. If you're a bloke, you are in that club, bearing in mind you've paid £5 at least entry fee, probably. you feel obliged, at least I do, to spend, right, I'm in here until it closes. They are going to have to throw me out because I have spent £5. I am in here till it closes. I'm not buying drinks there. I'm just going to enjoy their space. And all the while, the girls pick up guys in the lily, pick up guys in the lily, pick up guys, and then that's over. And then by the time it's sort of 1, 2 in the morning, 5% of the people in the club are women. There's a few guys sort of interested, and the rest of the guys have given up, and they're already sort of moaning about the whole situation. I begin my moaning sort of now. I'm already moaning, but yeah, it's not really fair. It's not a nice experience, and not enough people are willing to say so. People are sort of belligerently sort of, hey, I love clubbing, I'm cool. Because if you say you don't like clubbing, a girl just thinks, well, balls to you then. But yeah, straight up hate it.